Greetings and welcome to my gaming library, top 10 RTSs for number 1, Dawn of War. Well, this is a little bit of a like it or hate it, depending whether or not you like or hate Warhammer 40k. I have no particular problem with 40k, I find it pretty interesting, although I do not actually play the war game. So, most of my experience with 40k are through the games by Relic. So, most of what I have is from there, although I do have a few fantasy figures and army books, so I know about the fantasy. Anyway, back on Dawn of War. Why do I like Dawn of War? Well, first of all, I like the setting, of course, and I like the campaign as well. It's a pretty good campaign, which is what, if you notice the last many, and these top 5, they all have good campaigns. I like the way the unit works, so you basically have a balance between both infantry and tanks. And I'm just gonna go in and start a game while I talk about it. Just here start a game up with the Space Marines. Now, let's just start here. See, it's a 4v4, what it means. Anyway. Quickly.
I will do as you ask.
When it comes to Dawn of War, which one of to choose?
I will do as you ask.
For the favorite, it's a well, it's basically down to the 3 first. Dawn of War and 2 first expansion pack, whether one you will like the most, I think. Since when it comes to the 4th one, Soulstorm, it isn't really that good, and
infiltrating enemy territory.
The second one is
commencing.
Not really an RTS. It's good, and I would still recommend playing it if you're into strategy games, but it's not an RTS. It's more of a tactical game. In single player, it's definitely more of a tactical game. You cannot build any squads and so on. And for that purpose, it's not even considered for this list because, well, there's a specific requirements. Now, Dawn of War is also one of the few I have played a lot of skirmish in, and enjoyed it. I do also enjoy things like the resource collecting and so on when it comes to this. But you are capturing points constantly out of defending, although it can be a little bit too much since... What the hell are you doing?
Initializing build protocol.
Since
I will do as you ask.
You need to go out and capture. And in general, they will have at least one very close to your base, so you have a few resources. See, you're also making a few, even if you just for your headquarters you make 20. So you aren't completely boned. It's just a matter of how fast you can build things. When it comes to which
search commencing.
Dawn of War to select, in general, I will not play this one, Dawn of War 1, skirmish or multiplayer. They are better. Dark Crusade, for example, is better. When it comes to campaign, however, Dawn of War 1 has the best campaign, at least if you want a story-driven campaign and not take over the entire map.
The enemy is in our sights.
And in general, when it comes to
any enemy positions.
Dawn of War, other things I like is the fact that, well, once you at least get a little bit up, you get something like 7 factions that are quite different in the way they play out and the abilities they have and so on and so forth.
Search commencing.
Which is pretty nice.
Fear our wrath.
Also other things to take into account, for example, as you can see, it might actually be better to go in melee here with my Space Marines, since they are far better in melee, so you have a few things to take into account when it comes to these. And you have squads, so you can actually save squads even if they only have one in.
Intelligence. Lining up our targets.
That things are pretty interesting when it comes to playing the game. A lot of different good strategies to pull off. Others might wonder why I didn't pick Company of Hero at all for this list now on the subject of Dawn of War, because it plays pretty similar, have some of the similar things in it. A little bit hard to say. It's down there near the bottom of the top 10 competing with those, since I just didn't find it as interesting as Dawn of War, for example, but it can easily be up here as well. Many of the top 10 here, in general, just talk about that right now, but many of the games could really just be put on number 1. There's so little that there's a few where I can say they definitely won't get up in the top because of these reasons. As you can see, I'm getting attacked by everything because it's a 4 against 4. They have a tendency to gang up on player 1. So I'm gonna get overrun here. Unless these guys come and help me. Anyway, in general, this list is really easy to put everything on one, since there's a lot of these I mentioned here on this list that is really, really good. Dawn of War just being the one that I have probably played the most, and that's really where it comes down to why I choose that as number 1. Basically, it's the only real reason. For, well, not the only one, there's also a few things like I really enjoy the 40k universe as interpreted by Relic at least, and things like that. Which is why it's getting top, although you could easily have picked a lot of the others, like Generals could easily be number 1 as well. There's a few I'd say, right, like Rise of Nation will not get up on number 1 because it doesn't really have that campaign that really sucks me in, and that's probably the only thing that keeps it for number 1. It might actually have gotten number 1 if it had a campaign I would have been interested in. Really getting overrun right now. Anyway, that's basically my top 10 little breakdown. There's a few games below it that might have gotten on it, but in general there's also a few that I haven't played yet. Like I own Supreme Commander, but I've never gotten around to play it. That might have made the list. I've never played it, so I don't know how good it is. So remember, this is my list and my personal choices. And another little fun fact here to end off with: all the games, Dawn of War is the youngest. It came out in 2004. Think about that.